Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'm going to start with the items to remove consent agenda. As we go to there's if a board member wishes to remove an item on the consent agenda for further discussion, a motion to remove item X from the consent agenda must be made. However, once a motion and second are made for the consent agenda items listed below, simple questions can be asked regarding any of them, as you would normally do for individual resolutions. To remove the consent. Yep.
I don't think we have a quorum yet.
No?
1, 2, 3. Oh, we
Yeah,
have 4 of us. Sorry.
Yeah, Steve's on too, I think. I think he's on. So I think we're good. Okay. Consent agenda. So A, approval of minutes of the 5/26/20 board meeting and the 6/4/20 special meeting. B, personnel agenda. C, approval of vendor agreements and amendments. D, approval of vendor health service agreements and amendments. E, approval of budget transfer. And F, acceptance of bids. G, acceptance of arrangements for appropriate special programs and services as recommended by the CSC, CPSC. And H, acceptance of gifts and donation. Recommended action, the Board of Education approves the recommended consent agenda items A through H as listed in the attachment and above. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Sam.
Second, Steve.
All in favor?
Aye.
And just for the gifts and donations, $540 from Robert and Marion Geller for the Susie Geller Wolf Scholarship, and $50 from Carol and Lawrence Geringer for the Susie Geller Wolf Scholarship. So thank you very much for those gifts and donations. Next, we will move to the resolution for action, and we are actually going to skip the first 2 resolutions. We can't remove them because they've already been removed once. Unfortunately, the gas prices have seemed to have gone up this week, so this will be moved to next week in hopes of the gas prices going down. We will now move to resolution C, resolution to extend an agreement with Hudson Valley Fire Incorporated. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Education hereby authorizes the extension of its agreement with Hudson Valley Fire Incorporated for an additional 1-year period at the original awarded pricing. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education hereby authorizes the Superintendent of Schools to execute the necessary documents to effectuate said extension for the 2020-2021 school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Steve.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. D, resolution regarding certain unaffiliated employees. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of School, the Board of Education approves the following salary increases and benefit changes for the following unaffiliated employees as per the attachment. Be it further resolved, the board hereby authorizes the board president to sign the revised agreement for the aforementioned individuals, which reflects salary increases and changes in benefits for the 2020-2021 school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Ariana, right?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
E, resolution regarding statement of benefits. Be it resolved, the Board of Education hereby authorizes the Superintendent of Schools on behalf of the Board of Education to execute certain compensation and benefit statements, which statements identify the compensation and benefits to be provided to unaffiliated employees for the school year 2020-2021. Recommended action, the Board of Education adopts the resolution as stated above. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Rena, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. F, resolution for stipulation of settlement concerning payment of salaries to employees.
The inspector name.
Sorry, was that Joanne?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was on mute.
No problem. F, resolution for stipulation of settlement concerning payment of salaries to employees. Be it resolved, the Board of Education herewith authorizes the Superintendent of Schools and the Board President to execute a certain stipulation of settlement between the Board and employee number 00787 concerning payment of salaries. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, Ariana.
All in favor?
Aye.
G, resolution to award a contract obtained through a RFP process for financial advisory services. Now, therefore, be resolved, the Board of Education herewith appoints and gives permission to enter into a contract for financial advisory services, Capital Markets Advisors LLC. And be it further resolved, the Board of Education authorizes the Board President to execute said mutually acceptable agreement on behalf of the Board of Education for the 2020-2021 school year. Do I have a motion?
Ariana, so moved.
Second.
Rena, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
H, side letter agreement between the Board of Education and the Mamaroneck Union Free School District and the Mamaroneck Federation of School Secretaries concerning the retirement recognition plan. Recommended action, be it resolved, the Board of Education authorizes that the superintendent of schools to execute a side letter agreement between the Mamaroneck Union Free School District and the Mamaroneck Federation of School Secretaries concerning the retirement recognition plan for employee number 00275. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Side letter agreement between the Board of Education of the Mamaroneck Union Free School District and the Mamaroneck Association of School Administrators. Be it resolved, the Board of Education authorizes the Superintendent of Schools to execute a side letter agreement between the Mamaroneck Union Free School District and the Association of School Administrators concerning additional days worked during the school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Rena.
Second.
Second, Christian.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
J, resolution between the negotiating representatives of the Board of Education of the Mamaroneck Union Free School District and the negotiating representatives of the Federation of School Secretaries. Be it resolved, the Board of Education hereby authorizes and approves the memorandum of agreement between the Board of Education of the Mamaroneck Union Free School District and the Federations of School Secretaries dated June 11th, 2020. And be it further resolved, the Board of Education hereby authorizes the incorporation of the memorandum of agreements into a more formal written agreement and further authorizes the Superintendent of Schools to execute said formal agreement. Recommended action of the Board that the above resolution is adopted. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Sam.
Second.
Second, Ariana.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
K, resolution between the negotiating representatives of the Board of Education of the Mamaroneck Union Free School District and the Association of School Administrators. Be it resolved, the Board of Education hereby authorizes and approves the memorandum of agreement between the Board of Education of the Mamaroneck Union Free School District and the Association of School Administrators dated June 5, 2020. And be it further resolved, the Board of Education hereby authorizes the incorporation of the memorandum of agreement into a more formal written agreement and further authorizes the Superintendent of Schools to execute said formal written agreement. Recommended action, the Board that the above resolution be adopted. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Rena.
Second.
Second, Christian.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 L, resolution regarding reserve accounts. Be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Mamaroneck Union Free School District move to approve the following actions on the district reserve accounts as per the attachment. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Rena.
Second.
Second,
Second.
Ariana.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. M, resolution to contract for food service management services for the 2020-2021 school year. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Education herewith appoints and gives permission to enter into a contract, Aramark Educational Services, LLC, to provide food service management services to the district in accordance with the proposal provided, and be that further resolved, the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute said mutually acceptable agreement on behalf of the Board of Education. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Sam.
Second, Rena.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So N is a resolution regarding an RFP for transportation for the 2020-2021 school year. Can I have a motion to remove this from the agenda? And I'll have Sylvia explain afterwards. This is regarding going out to rebid. So can I have a motion to remove this item from the agenda?
So moved, Rena.
Second.
Steve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sylvia, do you want to comment on this briefly, just regarding this?
Yes, hi, thank you. We did receive one proposal for 3 of the 4 contracts that we were accepting proposals for. We were not comfortable, they were beyond our budget. We will have it on the July 7th agenda. Again, we went back out and advertised today. We are expecting additional proposals on the 26th, and hopefully we will have them on the agenda for July 7th.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any further questions from the board? Great. Thank you, Sylvia. And then we'll move to O, resolution for an engagement letter as submitted by Cullen and Danowski LLP. Be it resolved, the Board of Education of Mamaroneck Union Free School District of Mamaroneck, New York accepts the attached extension of the engagement letter for the period of June 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021 as submitted by Cullen and Danowski LLP, independent accountant. Recommended action, the Board of Education adopts the resolution as stated above. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Sam.
Second.
Second, Rena.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. Okay, we will now move on to, I'll leave it to you, Bob, now of the superintendent's report.
Thank you. So a few announcements. I hope everybody knows that tomorrow will be the last official day of school for the 2019-2020 school year. We hope it's a celebratory day for all. And certainly I would say we miss the ritual and kind of rite of passage of the end of the school year, where we say goodbye to students for the summer and families, and then as administrators turn the other direction and begin to focus on the planning process for fall. We hope that everyone has an enjoyable summer, a safe summer, and a healthy summer as well. And I want to thank all our families, our students, our staff for the commitment to public education, for the challenges this year, recognizing the challenges and kind of coming through in flying colors, and really celebrating the sense of community that we are relative to coming together under really unprecedented times. I also want to just announce, and I've said this in recent meetings, that we are going to continue with our school lunch program through the month of June, and providing families with meals, eligible families with meals throughout the month, and hope to have an announcement soon, if possible, about the summer. And Sylvia, I don't know if you want to add anything to that?
I would just add that we are awaiting state approval to run beyond June 30th.
Thank you. I want to take this opportunity just to update the community on our planning process for reopening the schools this fall. One thing I would say is that there is a lot of uncertainty, and I say that from the perspective of that we are waiting for official guidelines and regulations from the governor, from the New York State Department of Education to help us plan accordingly. But that being said, there's been a lot of work well underway across the district, and I thought I would take the opportunity just to highlight the work of 77 community members in recently completing our partnership with Stanford University's Design School Lab. And so I'm going to try to share my screen. And so I don't see it. If you can give me a moment. I'm trying to get to. Here it is. I'm going to give you just a brief overview of the work that was just completed in partnership with Stanford University D Lab. So we are, as I mentioned, well into our focus on reopening the schools for fall. And so we had the opportunity this year or this spring to partner with or reach out to the D Lab at Stanford University, knowing that they have been working with school systems across the globe, many in the United States and international schools, to think about the process for designing safe reentry to schools. And so the big question, or the guiding question, is how do schools plan effectively during a time of uncertainty? We all know that we want some assurance and answers as to what school reopening will look like in September. And the hardest part here is to be able to have the honest conversation is that we don't know, and that though we are in a climate of uncertainty, there is an opportunity to engage in processes of planning that allows for some sense of direction and certainty, and certainly opportunity to communicate. So we chose to partner with the D Lab, and what they do in their work is they use futures and design thinking processes to consider potential near and long-term scenarios. So we spent, as a group of 77 representatives of our community, thinking about the future and using the tools of design to understand what to expect. They engaged with us in this idea of divergent thinking, inviting stakeholders to share the lived experiences, to develop a sense of empathy for the needs and challenge of our students, parents, and staff. We were purposeful in trying to bring in parents, students, teachers, administrators to really share their perspectives. And the design process is really linked to understanding the human challenge or the human problem. And so we know over the last 4 or 5 months, as we were in the extended school closure, that families and parents all had different perspectives. So how do we capture the divergent thinking? The other thing we focused on in the planning process was really to narrow our focus, go from the larger view of thinking about the future, but then really kind of putting meat on the bones relative to areas of focus, the logistics of developing schedules, thinking about health and safety for return to our school facilities, to understand what we need to think about around climate and culture, the focus on social emotional learning for students who've been isolated over a 4 or 5 month period, and the professional development that is necessary for teachers, parents, students, and communication. And finally, the design process, and this is where we really left off and will continue, is to really use the time to design, test, and revise prototypes. We know this is an iterative process, and how do we work things out as we approach the reopening of school? So as I mentioned, there are 3 kind of big ideas here. How might the world change and why in the coming months and in the years ahead? What might people need in those futures? And how is it going to affect or impact K-12 education? And so one of the things that we discussed here is the future is not thinking or predicting what it will be. It's really building and exploring multiple futures and how what we will come to see unfold. And so in some ways, it's building narratives about possibilities of what we should all experience and how we might go through that experience. And there are 3 components of what I would say is the scenario planning we touched on. Taking the long view. So not only did we think about this coming fall, but we tried to talk about what might the world look like in 2022, 23, and so on. We then moved to this idea of understanding needs from the outside in, understanding what society might face, what institutions might face, and then what our children, our staff, students, and parents and community might need relative to the futures that we are kind of recognizing. And then finally, it's this part of bringing together divergent thinking or collaborating across this scenario planning to come to ideas about needs, resources, etc. So we started our first 3 sessions and spent 9 hours together, really focused on driving forces. And I want to just touch on things that we already know, but how to, in some ways, to explain how the driving forces affected our planning and thinking. The first thing we had to consider is the future and the driving force of the pandemic. How do we think about scenarios that really have different quadrants of outcomes? A return to normal, right? We all would like to return to a normal experience. What is this idea of a faster recovery or transformation? On the other side of the axis is the idea of things getting worse, right? A slow recovery, a collapse, a return of COVID that we experienced in the early days of this year. And what would that look like and mean? And so part of it was understanding possibilities around the pandemic. And the part of our discussion was to describe the conditions of what that would look like. Here, if we look at the shortened or recovery, it's about readily having testing available, about how people are really compliant with social distancing, how there is the resources of the health system to deal with the unfolding crisis. On the other side of it, we talked about the collapse or things getting worse and what the indicators would look like and how that would impact our thinking about planning for school. The second driving force was really the impact of the economy and the worldwide economic collapse and crisis. And again, we went through a similar process of an understanding and building narratives and scenarios about a faster recovery, a slow recovery, and what it would mean to our understanding of impacting school life, community life, regional and national experiences. So we took all that at the 30,000 foot level to kind of see and visit multiple futures to move forward in our second session to shape and think about in a more practical way the road ahead. And ultimately the goal would be to end up, and what we did in our second and third session, to collaborate and talk through and try to, in some ways, test and challenge ourselves to the scenarios and the prototypes that we put in place. I mentioned this idea of bringing together divergent thinkers, multiple perspectives, and community expertise. This is a snapshot of a handful of participants of our 77-member group that operated on an online platform, Zoom, and did all of our work using online tools. And so part of this was moving from a group of 77 down to a group of 25, down to a group of 2, and back to a larger group. So we ended up in a very clear direction. We all agreed that there most likely will be 3 scenarios to plan for. the prospect of and the hopeful prospect of an open campus where a majority of staff and students return to school in the fall with new norms around health and safety. Certainly, it is moving closer to what I would call normalcy, but we know that it will be under the umbrella of restrictions of social distancing, of limited kind of programs and experiences that we certainly have to be mindful of that isn't necessarily the return to regular school. The second is a hybrid option where we open our facilities to some or all of our students and staff, that we divide or have different numbers of students who attend school, and that a sizable number of families may opt out of school and maintain learning from a remote or distance format, or that we will have some blended approach to how we learn based on what we're seeing with those driving forces of the pandemic and the issues of safety. The final scenario that we're planning for, really focused our attention, is the continuation of remote learning as caused by the increase in the infection rate in the health crisis. And so we went from, again, narratives about the future, thinking about what those futures look like, to really focusing our attention to 3 specific scenarios and beginning the planning process. What you see in front of you are really our process for starting to think about the components of each scenario or modeling. So for the open campus, we had a group that focused on teaching and learning, operations and safety, culture, school culture and belonging, health and well-being of our students and staff and families, and the various roles that we would play. And we use the 3 scenarios to kind of form the basis for our modeling to try to understand what we need to identify, attend to through the process. So this allowed for shared perspectives, for collaboration, and it really was meant to promote our general thinking and overall innovation around the 3 models. We then continued to narrow our focus into what I would call really pragmatic aspects of the design phase, looking at people to start to, for each of the 3 scenarios, formulate possible schedules and professional development experiences, coming up with a safety plan, thinking about what we needed to attend to in social emotional learning, and how we would work with our community around communication. And so we went, again, as I said, from a very high level of thinking around the future to starting to formulate plans and models for how we will think about the schools under 3 likely scenarios. So where did we leave off? One, I wanted to thank and acknowledge the commitment and hard work of the 77-member group and what they brought to the table around this process. 2, we know that for us, it was an initial effort to refocus on the design phase. And the work that now will continue beginning tomorrow is to really design a detailed planning process and come up with our plans for the fall. We know that we need to, along the way, consult with specialists at various stages. I've said to the board, and we will hope to have completed by the end of the month, a full auditing of all our 6 schools, our learning spaces, allowing for design plans for space that will tell us how many students and a teacher we can accommodate in every instructional space across all 6 schools. And so having the expertise of architects to provide us with those plans and schematics is really important. We've brought in our district physician, our nursing supervisors to assess the health and safety issues. And so we'll continue to work with and consult with specialists over the next 60, 90 days to plan accordingly. We want to focus on lessons learned, innovative approaches, and emerging resources and knowledge. We spent a lot of time over the last 60 days studying the reopening models of schools across the globe, trying to learn from their experiences, try to understand and incorporate some of the things that are successful into our thinking process for design. I think it's safe to say that from the experience with the D-Lab, that creating opportunities or additional opportunities for stakeholders to provide feedback and respond to our prototypes is critical to our future planning process. And therefore, we look to invite more parents into the process, students and staff, as we develop this and create that as part of our formal process. Finally, 2 points that I think are critical. We need to help the community understand this notion of uncertainty while preparing for reopening. As I said, everybody would like to know what the future will be like, what to expect. And we have to recognize this tension between uncertainty and planning appropriately for moving forward. And finally, we're committed, and we'll start this week to communicate effectively and on a regular basis to the community about how things are going, where we're at, and what we plan to do. So communication is the key here, ingredient, and we are committed to effective communication going forward. So just to put it and summarize in perspective, one of the things we learned from this process that when you think about future planning, futures that talk about possible futures, that are futures that are likely to happen or exist, but doesn't necessarily provide for a sense of agency for individuals, for communities, for nations, or an awareness of what's coming forward. The second type of futures is plausible futures, where we know based on certain indicators, as I described, the things that are likely to happen in the near term and what they may look like. The final futuristic thinking is preferable futures, and that's futures that we want, desire, and allow us to achieve our mission, in this case, our school district's mission, adhere to our values and purposes. And so this is more proactive, and it really captures the process that we're engaged in now and where we're heading. So given what we think is going to be in front of us in the fall, how do we take this moment, actualize our thinking, develop a plan, communicate it, and execute it in the months ahead? And so that really gives you a sense of what we focused on, where we're heading, and what we hope to report on in the next 90 days to the community, to the board, and to our staff and families as well. So thank you for the opportunity. I would say that members of the planning process who worked in this had the opportunity to provide feedback to the D-Lab. I would say overall, all of our participants really felt that the process made us think deeply about the future and allowed us to get a jump start on the planning process. So thank you for letting me share our work thus far.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions from the board? I know that we had several board members that were involved. Does anybody on the board want to comment on the work of the Stanford D-Lab?
Hey, Paul.
Go ahead, Christian.
I just wanted to say how impressed I was by the participants that engaged in all of the sessions and the ideas that were expressed. It was nice to see how the community came together through this process. So I just wanted to thank Bob and the rest of his team for making this all happen. Thank you very much. And clearly, the stakeholders played a role in this process, and that's what we need to see.
I do have a question. I know we sent out the survey to parents on remote learning. Annie, I think you've been looking over that survey. Could you just generally, because I know you're still digesting all the data, just speak to that just as we look to plan and move forward?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Rena. Actually, a number of surveys have gone out. So there was a community survey that went out. I think that's the one you're referring to, where we've received already well over 1,000 responses. That was sent by household with branching opportunities, branching sections of the survey to gather feedback about experiences at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. And some clear trends are really emerging from that. And we're compiling those data now with the intent of sharing those publicly and really transparently, acknowledging the challenges, all the bumps in the road, but also then the learning that happened along the way and how that's informing our planning through the D-School process that Bob just described for the future. So I think one of the clear areas, and you just heard Bob mention this, is the need for sort of a clearer communication plan of when and how and whom will communicate about the status of decisions that are being made. You know, Bob just mentioned the need to grapple with uncertainty and sort of hold that. But as we move through the summer, we know that our families expect and deserve to know sort of where things are in the decision-making process. So one survey that is already out, and I believe that we intend to keep open through the rest of this week, is the community survey. for families. And then we've also administered surveys to our faculty at each level, elementary, middle, and high school faculty. And teachers are responding very candidly to those questions. Some of the questions actually are sort of the same or parallel by design on the faculty survey as well as the family survey. So as Bob mentioned, we develop sort of a convergence of thinking around certain priority topics. And we understand what was really challenging for teachers, what were the highlights for teachers, where did they experience pockets of success, and sort of merge that. So there are areas where there are things that maybe professionally we thought worked well, but that did not work well for families, and vice versa. And so it's important that we sort of merge all of that feedback over the summer and have that inform our thinking about each of these three scenarios moving forward.
If I can add also, Nora can comment, we recently learned, and this is part of our challenge through the governor's executive order, that we had the opportunity to offer in-person extended summer programs for students who are eligible. And we are in the midst of now formalizing and finalizing details of the summer program. And that has brought to our, certainly our attention and certainly responsibility of now in a small scale, but a certainly critical scale or program, what it's going to be like to have students and staff re-enter school building, to maintain learning for extended period of time, and kind of look at that experience in terms of how we're able to manage health and safety, teaching and learning, transition, transportation, all the elements of the larger school year. And so, this will be the opportunity to come right back to it in our schools with a significant number of students, and again, continue to refine our processes, learn both in maintaining some online services and what that looks like, as well as in-person teaching and navigating our schools. So again, all of this is about learning as we go, but also planning and then seeing how things unfold throughout the summer into the fall.
I think, I'll just add to that. I feel like so as shocking as the last minute notification of the signing of the executive order was on June 5th, we've really moved as swiftly as we possibly can. And ironically, the three scenarios that we practiced with the D-Lab are exactly where we're sitting. So really to date, after talking to parents, staff, et cetera, we know that we're going to be able to offer on-site services at Mamaroneck Avenue School for all our most disabled students, special classes. All related services, OT, PT, and speech will be offered on both platforms, on-site and remote learning. And I think most exciting to me is our two special education teachers, Kathy O'Rourke and Elena Canetto, who are doing some extra specialized reading support, are actually going to provide on-site instruction, but live stream in students who are not able to attend. So everything will be synchronous, which is remarkable. So I'm sure we're going to take a lot of lumps. I'm sure it's going to be hard from temperatures at the front door to everything else, but it's kind of turning into a great pilot opportunity. If you look at it glass half full, it's really.
I would say it requires a collaboration and work of many people, including, our Director of Facilities, Steve Brugge and Sylvia, making sure that we have the resources for health and safety, the guidelines, and that we can accommodate the number of students, thinking about transportation services. So every aspect of it. And I think if I just last point, through this process of last minute notification, we followed a framework where we've engaged parents up front and talked about the challenges and the possibilities of what it would take to kind of create at the last minute an in-person program. We offered them the opportunity to provide feedback and tell us what they would most care for and what was most important to their individual child. And then we tried to understand the feasibility and make it come together and consider all the, I would say, things we need to pay attention to relative to make it work. So this, again, on a small scale, replicates what I just described about the planning process of the D-Lab, and it speaks to where we're heading next for all of our schools in the fall. Okay. Any other comments for the board or questions? I do want to congratulate, a shout out to our student participants in the process. In my debrief with the Stanford facilitators, they were incredibly impressed by the level of confidence that the students among adults were able to demonstrate, the creativity and the thoughtful responses. So it was great, including our middle school and high school students in the process. And we learned from them, and we learned about them, and we learned about what our system offers our students in terms of having them engage in authentic learning and feeling good about the opportunity to rub elbows with the adult thinkers as well. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do have a question, Bob. Do you have like an estimate deadline when we're gonna decide the model? Because, you know, I've been talking with some parents, some supporting upper campus, other not. So the faster that we decide, the faster we're gonna end in the uncertainty. So do you and the administrator have like a, okay, by the end of July 15, we're gonna have that,
Right.
we decide the
Could
model?
you ask the governor that question, Gladys, please?
No, I'm asking to Bob and you.
No, I know. I was kidding. I was kidding.
Like if we had an estimate, because we planning according to the decision, and the faster that we decide, we can
So
plan.
So I appreciate that. And here's my short answer. There are some, what I would call, important deadlines relative to, you know, we try to say is, what do we know now that we can act on? What do we need to know? And when will we know it? And part of what we understand is in the coming days, the state is going to provide guidelines for higher ed, right? So that is the first step in the direction of the entity that is in charge of saying, here's what you need to do, right, and plan for. With us, the governor has made it clear that we are going to be responsible for submitting a reopening plan in July. So clearly that reopening plan is going to have to meet a set of guidelines and criteria regulations. And I would say, based on our scenario planning, that we're going to develop plans for one of three scenarios or all the above. And so I would say that our administrators who are participating in this meeting have already worked on what I would call a normal opening of school to some degree in terms of building schedules, assigning students. And now the next step is to say, what would that look like in the open school process for a full student body or a partial student body and staff? And so this work, I think, will unfold, Gladys, and I would say there probably will be a timeline that will be presented by the Department of Education, the commissioner, and the governor to say schools must communicate and plan for and then release to their community. And that's expecting that things are not going to change from the public health perspective in the coming months. I think all bets are off if we were to see a significant resurgence over the next 30, 60 days, and they may make a decision that we don't expect and not give us a lot of time to react. So we're going to continue this work and the details and build documents and plans for all three scenarios, and then be able to share that information with the community as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you to all of the administrators and teachers, of course, central admin, Bob. You guys have been put through the planning ringer with this. The governor has not given you, us, a lot of notice on this. We've seen this on everything from the budget vote to ESY to God knows when he's going to tell us what we can do or can't do when it comes to reopening schools. And you've been able to really handle all of it and do it very well. And I know there are a lot of hours and hard work that went into it. similar to, the analogy of a duck that's paddling furiously under the surface, and it looks like they're gliding. So, thank you all for that.
Well, and if I can say, I had the opportunity to share with the board, and I will share with the community, the expectations that based on preparing our schools in whatever model, we know there can be additional expenses to address health and safety issues. And I know this evening, we hopefully will hear the results of our budget, but there has to be an understanding in the community that we're going to have to invest budgetary resources to ensure health and safety. We're going to have to attend to the social emotional needs of our students and families who've gone through a very difficult time in dealing with, their individualized needs, as well as thinking about decisions on resources for instruction and technology. So all of this has to be well thought out. But the big other uncertainty is the costs associated with this, the availability of materials and resources, and then the budget that we will have that will guide this process.
Thank you. Anybody else on the board have any comments or questions? All right. Well, thank you, Bob. Thank you, Nora. Thank you, Annie, and thank you to everyone involved. I'll echo Rena's comments. So thank you for all your hard work. I know it was a monstrous move and will continue to be. So thank you. Well, I think it's time to move on to some recognition. I think that's what we can move on to next. So Bob, should I hand it to you? And then,
yes.
Okay, great.
I'm going to just say it's a pleasure, and certainly we always look forward to our second meeting in June to honor our 25-year of service recipients and our retirees. Earlier today, I had the pleasure of participating in the high school Circle of Love retirement ceremony for a number of retirees. And it reminded all of us, because we were together, appropriately social distancing, of how this institution called school is really made up of relationships and what I would say professional commitments to children and families. And so honoring in person our high school retirees was just a wonderful, wonderful dose of great medicine for the soul. And tonight we hope to kind of acknowledge and honor our 25 years of service recipients, as well as have our building administrators talk about our retirees. I want to say congratulations to a number of our staff members who have reached this distinguished milestone of 25 years of service. It is incredible to think about being a part of a school system, the impact on the number of students over a period of 25 years. And I would say, knowing that today with Shannon Turner Porter, we were celebrating 50 years, I would say to this group, you're about halfway there, right? That you to really meet that 5-decade standard that Shannon has accomplished, you have a long way to go and a lot of students' hearts and minds to touch and influence as well. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Jeremy. And then similarly, I just want to congratulate our retirees. It is bittersweet to say goodbye and to congratulate them on their careers, as well as the next chapter of their lives. We as a community of professionals really value the relationships. We love seeing, as our new staff come together, how our veteran staff, our longstanding teachers and administrators give back to and create a positive culture and climate. And so when we lose a member to retirement, it is, on one hand, just a celebration of their work and their lives, but in some it's a sense of loss and passing as they move on to enjoy retirement. And with that, though, I'm going to turn things over to Jeremy to kind of get things underway.
Thank you, Dr. Schatz. So as is my style, it's just kind of how I roll. I wanted to have a little fun with this. So in thinking about 25 years and what it means, I was wondering to myself, what was going on in the world 25 years ago? So I just have a couple of things before I introduce those who've reached that milestone, and I thought this was fun. So obviously Windows 95 was released, not very creatively named, but there it was. The Amazon sold its first book, which was fascinating. And this is a long one. Douglas Hofstadter's Fluid Concepts and Creative Analogies, Computer Models of the Fundamental Mechanics of Thought. So that's probably not going to be a book group we're going to do, but nonetheless. Gas was about $1.09 a gallon. A stamp was 32 cents, and the average house was $113,150. The Dow Jones closed above 5,000 for the first time, and Quebec narrowly voted to remain in Canada. This is all coming back, right, folks? Yeah. NBA legend Michael Jordan returns to the court, to the Bulls, from his diversion to baseball, and NFL legend O.J. Simpson is acquitted in the trial of the century. Popular TV shows were ER, Seinfeld, and Friends, and popular films were Toy Story, Batman Forever, and Apollo 13. And Mel Gibson's Braveheart won the Academy Award for Best Picture. Irritatingly, the Macarena swept the land. Anyone remember the Macarena? That's a painful memory, but yes, that was happening 25 years ago. So it's fun to look back and think, and we hope these staff members who have spent 25 years, a long time, a lot of effort, and as Dr. Schaps alluded to, really incalculable value to the school community. And we're just so proud of their service milestone at 25 years. And so I'd like to read off the people who have reached that milestone, and again, share with them our deepest gratitude. Patricia Ball, foreign language teacher. Michelle Burton, art teacher. Lori Dressler, special education teacher. Karina Fabi, science teacher. Karen Harris, elementary teacher. Linda Leva, teacher aide. Maureen Montone, elementary teacher. Mary Alice Pietropalo, special education teacher. Patrick Romano, physical education teacher. And Carl Zini, physical education teacher. So let's put a virtual round of applause together for these folks who've reached 25 years.
Macarena, aye.
Oh, I was afraid the Macarena might break out if I mentioned it, but I took that risk. And now we're going to transition to introducing the members of the leadership team to speak about the retirees. And again, I'll just echo what I said about the folks who have reached their 25-year milestone. We're so proud of your accomplishments, so appreciative of all you've meant to our school community. And now we're going to hear from the people that know you best. So first of all, to speak of one of our district-wide maintenance mechanics, I'm going to introduce Miss Sylvia Fassler-Wallach. Sylvia.
Thanks, Jeremy, and what we wouldn't give to be able to get together and do the Macarena. So I'm here to talk about Chris Ori. Chris has been with the district since 1994, so not too far from the time you were just mentioning. As an HVAC maintenance mechanics, Chris's efforts over the past 26 years have helped keep our school buildings running well and comfortable, and his vast knowledge of our facilities will be greatly missed. We thank him for many years of service, dedication, and loyalty to the district. And Chris, we wish you all the very best for a happy and peaceful retirement.
Excellent. Congratulations, Chris. All the best to you. And now to speak of those who are retiring from Central School, the principal, Joanne Henley-Salch, and assistant principal, Karen Russo. Joanne and Karen.
Good evening, everyone. Karen and I are thrilled to be here this evening and to honor the retirees from Central as well as from all of the schools in the district. So we're going to start tonight by honoring Kayo Matsushita. So Kayo has been leading students in song for many, many years. She takes great pride and joy in her work, which is evident in her daily classes and certainly in every school performance she leads. She is the epitome of someone who possesses a growth mindset, and as a result, students are never afraid to take a risk in her company. There's nothing quite as joyful as entering the music room, whether it be at Central or Homix, and watching Kayo work with children. Her energy is high and her ability to bring voices together is truly a gift. She has a knack for selecting songs that students can relate to and are excited to engage with, and of course, brings this talent to each school-wide assembly that she leads. Her chorus ensemble at both Central and at Homix is tremendous in size due to the excitement and interest she has generated around the program. In addition to the numerous assemblies she is involved in, Kayo organizes and leads the entire Central community in a very special Flag Day celebration each June, and of course is always an integral part of our 5th grade graduation ceremony. And as Emily Macias shared, Kayo always makes teaching music look magical. She sets the bar high and her students are always prepared for the following year. Kayo, you will be so missed at Central, at Homix, the music department, and the district at large. Thank you for giving our children the incredible gift of song. It is our hope that your new home includes many opportunities to create wonderful memories and, of course, is filled with music for years to come. Congratulations, Kayo. Okay, and next, also retiring from Central is Donna Russell. Donna is a longstanding and much-loved member of Central School. During her many years in the district, she has taught hundreds of children, supported an equal number of families, and been a colleague in the truest sense of the word. She arrives at school each day with a broad smile and models through her own actions the simple yet important gesture of enthusiastically greeting anyone she comes across. Good morning, how are you today? She expects the same from her students, even those as young as 5 years old, and will stop her class mid-hallway and prompt them to say good morning or good afternoon to anyone passing by. Donna's classroom is vibrant and well-organized, and she prides herself on the skills she focuses on with our youngest learners. Anyone who has had the great fortune of working alongside Donna is unified in saying what a gift it has been. She is positive, flexible, and a true team player. She continually asks the simple question, how can I help, to anyone in need for any reason? Her most common response to any request is, whatever you need me to do. Donna, retirement is about endings and beginnings. Thank you for all you've done for Central leading up to this ending. And may your new beginning be filled with quiet moments, joyful memories, and plenty of time with those beautiful grandbabies. Congratulations, Donna, you will be greatly missed. And now I will hand us over to Karen Russo, Assistant Principal at Central.
Good evening. Next, we are going to honor Maureen Fraioli. Maureen, or Mo as we call her at Central, has been supporting students in classrooms as an aide for many years and across many grades. Mo can be found in the Central School staff room in the early mornings before work hours. She is one of the first to arrive and is a go-to for any last-minute jobs that need attention. Mo also uses her morning time to support others or just to catch up with her colleagues and her friends. Each day, though, starting at 8:20, rain or shine, Mo can be found in our drop-off line. Day after day, Mo opens car doors, says hello to parents, greets children, and guides them into the building. She's been doing this for many years. Think about the impact of a child being greeted each day by Mo for the 6-year duration of time at Central School. It's no wonder that kids and families feel so connected to Mo. Recently, we sent out a call to the community for retirement messages via VidHug. It was no surprise that one student after the other shared stories, a special wink or a special word that spoke to their connection with Mo. Teachers as well think of Mo as family, a person who is always there to support her colleagues. She is quick to lead the way when needed and equally quick to follow the lead when she is called on to implement a plan created for a specific child. Mo is reliable, caring, and generous. We can't imagine Central School without you, Mo, but we certainly wish you all the best in your retirement. You expressed to me wanting to spend time with your family, particularly your dad. We wish you time and health to enjoy these days with family and joy in this new chapter of your life. Congratulations, Mo. And next we have Charlene Farrell. We'd like to just recognize Central School age Charlene Farrell, who retired back in December and is already immersed in the perks of retirement. Charlene is greatly missed at Central School and was actually Donna Russell's right-hand colleague for many, many years. The two of them made for a dynamic duo in their kindergarten classroom. It ran like a well-oiled machine due to the relationship they form and their shared love of our youngest learners. We recognized Charlene on the building level before she left, but again, we wish her all the best in this new chapter. Congratulations, Charlene.
Excellent. Thank you, Joanne and Karen. Thank you very much. So before we continue with the school-based staff, we're going to turn our attention to Dr. Nora Mazzoni, who's going to speak about one of the unsung heroes of our system, someone who works with our non-public population in Lisa Kovac. Dr. Mazzoni.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy. So I think it's only fitting that we recognize Lisa Kovac in the middle of all our other schools. Lisa joined Mamaroneck as a speech and language therapist in 1987. And during her 30 plus years in the district, her contributions and her dedication have really been quite significant. Mrs. Kovac was instrumental in the development of our very first pre-K special class at Mamaroneck Avenue School, where she used the Teach Autism program pedagogy to nurture the primary communication skills of significantly disabled 3 and 4-year-olds. Mrs. Kovac has worked at MAS, at Central, and at Murray before joining our non-public service provider team. So since 2015, she provided speech and language therapy at surrounding private schools such as French American School, St. John and Paul, Westchester Day. When asked to share what really stands out about Lisa, her colleagues immediately emphasize that in Lisa's book, kindness counts. And she consistently demonstrates that by the way she treats everybody around her. Lisa's worked really diligently to create safe and nurturing environments for her kids. And each year she used her APPR goal to quench her own professional thirst about new ways to help her students. So what could be more important than teaching our students how to express themselves and how to take in the wealth of information that comes to them on a daily basis in all of our schools? One might say that Lisa's work as a speech and language therapist sets the foundation for all future academic success. So Lisa, I don't know how to begin to thank you for your years of service. We respect you, we'll miss you, but I feel certain that with your positive outlook, all wonderful things lie ahead. Thank you and congratulations.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And now we're going to turn our attention to Chatsworth Avenue School and Principal Katie Anderson and Assistant Principal Lauren Sharfstein.
Thanks, Jeremy. Good evening, everyone. Tonight from Chatsworth, we celebrate two pillars in our community, two teacher aides. The first one being Diane Marino and the second teacher aide being Thelma Rhodes. So I'm going to present on Diane Marino and Mrs. Sharfstein will do Thelma Rhodes. Kindergarten, kindergarten, kindergarten. Diane Marino has dedicated 16 out of her 30 years of her career teaching our littlest learners. Diane spent her days with children who needed a gentle, loving, and kind hand to learn so many of life's skills. How to zip up your jacket, or even tie your shoes. Diane had the patience and perseverance to ensure all children's needs were met always. Diane is a teacher who always knows exactly what her students need to be successful. Her organizational skills have served her cooperating teachers with whom she has partnered with over the years greatly. For each activity, whether it was creating stone soup or preparing for center time, there was a schedule and materials were always provisioned. Diane also knew how to calm an anxious kindergartner in the morning, and she helped students work out problems at lunchtime. Additionally, Diane could always encourage a reluctant writer to share more about their stories. Diane's magic enabled many colorful illustrations and sentences to match across the pages. Over the years, she has been a pillar and a mentor to fellow colleagues, a mentor that leads by example and with grace. Diane never missed a day of work and is one of the most loyal and responsible professionals that we know at Chatsworth. We will miss the reminders about ordering more chalk for the playground, our kindergarten students, and playground balls, and the updates about children who she cares so much about. From your Chatsworth family, Diane, we wish you a happy, healthy, and a well-deserved retirement. Thank you for your 30 years of service that was completed with the commitment to the children in your care. We will miss you greatly. Congratulations. And I'll turn it over to Mrs. Sharpstein for Ms. Rhodes.
I am very fortunate to be here tonight talking about Thelma Rhodes. She has spent the last 32 years at Chatsworth, constantly spreading joy and kindness with her wherever she goes. She has worked in a variety of classrooms, mainly kindergarten, supporting individual students who needed a little bit of extra love and care. Each day, Thelma came to work with a day that her energy and grace permeated the building. Working side by side with teachers to ensure that students were organized and ready for learning was her specialty. Thelma would always know how to anticipate what a child would need to be successful in a classroom. Each day, Thelma would greet the children in the morning with a warm smile and a positive attitude, ready to take the day on and help keep the classroom organized, activities running smoothly, and lessons and small groups being prepared. At the end of the day, she would go on to work at the after-school program and assist in keeping that in order and the kids engaged. Simply said, Thelma Rhodes never stopped. Throughout her career, her flexibility greatly impacted the Chatsworth community. She was always willing to help out with any task, help any child, or to assist a colleague in need of support. Her passion for working was and always will be evident by how she interacts with those in her company. Thelma, your Chatsworth family congratulates you on your retirement and wishes you many years of happiness and days of cooking at home. We will miss you greatly.
Thank you, Chatsworth leadership team. That was lovely. Now we'll turn our attention to Homix Middle School and Principal Emily Macias and Assistant Principals Rob Andrews, Minnie Iannuzzi, and Margaret Groninger. Mrs. Macias.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Jeremy. Today I have the privilege and honor of speaking about Gloria Chuang, Lauren Meyer, and Ann Savage. I'm going to start with Gloria. Today we celebrate Gloria for her dedication to the Mamaroneck School District. Having taught 30 years in the district, Gloria has been instrumental in developing the sequence of study for the oldest Mandarin language program in the state. She is always one of the first to arrive at school and one of the last ones to leave in the evenings, and always willing to work with students before and after school. She has set high expectations in her student-centered classroom and glows with pride about how students learn and embrace the Chinese language. She clearly is in love with her work, and you feel that sense of joy every time you walk into her classroom. Gloria is always willing to give her time to others and never seeks credit for the ways that she supports her colleagues. She is kind-natured and has been a great mentor to her counterpart, Jaja. On her non-teaching days, Gloria spends her free time with her 4 grandchildren and her grandpuppy. She enjoys taking long walks and often recites Chinese poetry during her walks. Gloria, we wish you a happy and healthy retirement. Thank you for all you've done to support and help nurture our students at Homix. Here's wishing you peaceful, long walks ahead. Congratulations. Next, I'm going to speak about Lauren Meyer. Lauren Meyer has worked at Chatsworth and at Murray before joining the Homix PE team. Working more than 28 years in the district, Lauren has always been a teacher champion for the students that enter her gym. She is a passionate advocate for teamwork as a life skill. She teaches PE by cheering her students on and encourages them to try new heights, literally new heights, whether it means climbing on obstacle ropes during Project Adventure, playing pickleball, or an invasion game. Her work is always about including, teaching into, and supporting students to work through their fears. And that's not easy with middle schoolers. Lauren, we wish you a wonderful and restful retirement. Thank you for the many contributions that you've made to our students throughout your years at Mamaroneck. Congratulations. Ann Savage. On any given day, you will find Ann working with our sixth graders on a project, either building pyramids or building a sarcophagus to culminate the unit on world civilizations. Her students are always creating, they're always making, and they're always sharing about all they've learned in her class. You walk into her classroom and your eyes go straight to the many personal artifacts that Miss Savage has brought from home. And you'll see her students' projects all neatly displayed around the room. Ann knows how to make social studies an accessible curriculum for her students. Ann is also an avid yogi, and she brings these skills to her classroom. You pass by her classroom, and don't get confused, it's not PE. Ann begins many of her class days with the short stretch and time for centering students before digging into the day's history lesson. She is no stranger to the dance floor either. At Homix, we organize a friendly competition in which teachers are paired with professional dancers. This is a big deal, since as you can imagine, we hold 3 assemblies and we fill the entire auditorium with teenagers. Wouldn't you know it? Ann won the first ever Homix Dancing with the Teachers. She's a true sport. And we wish you many more dances and so many wonderful years in your well-deserved retirement. Thank you for all you've done to support our Homix students. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And now let's turn our attention to Mamaroneck Avenue School and Principal Dr. Neil Oliva and Miss Sandra Zadrima. Dr. Oliva.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Sandra and I are also thrilled to be here tonight to honor and celebrate our 2 MAS retirees, Susanna Franco and Nina Forlini. I'll share a few thoughts about Susanna, and Sandra will speak about Nina. Susanna Franco has been part of the Mamaroneck School District family as a speech and language therapist for 17 years. A majority of the last 17 years have been spent at MAS. As a result of her expertise with some of our youngest learners, she has also happily served pre-K students in short stints at both Central and Chatsworth. Personally, I've had the joy of getting to know Susanna over the last 4 years. In that time period, I know Susanna to only have consistently demonstrated the hallmarks of an expert speech and language therapist. In every visit to her classroom, Susanna's students were highly engaged as a result of her intricate and well-paced lessons. Evidence of only the highest of expectations was set for students, yet done so with a warm, encouraging, and approachable disposition. Students reciprocated Susanna's kind and gentle mannerisms by always looking forward to their time with Miss Franco. Susanna can also be described as someone who is willing to collaborate with her immediate colleagues, classroom teachers, parents, and the many interns mentored over the years. Susanna's deep reservoir of knowledge of how to enact speech and language therapies intertwines with her warm and caring personality. These factors have always made her someone easy to talk to with an abundance of expertise. Susanna, thank you for your almost 2 decades of service in Mamaroneck. Your presence, expertise, and warmth will most certainly be missed at MAS. Congratulations and best of luck to you. And now I hand it over to Sandra.
Good evening, everyone. Each morning at 8:30 a.m., you can be sure to find Nina on the MAS playground supervising morning arrival. Regardless of rain, snow, or shine, Nina was at school every day. Nina Forlini has been an aide at Mamaroneck for the last 24 years. And tonight we would like to celebrate her unwavering dedication to our students, family, and staff. In many years at MAS, Nina has only shown herself to be dependable, trustworthy, and supportive of the needs of all of our students. In a pinch, she was capable of supporting students in various grades and with various needs. No assignment was unwanted, and all students were greeted with kindness and love. Ms. Forlini's efforts over the last 24 years have shown that an educator can make a difference in a student's life by the day-to-day things that you do for them. Those small things work together to make a big difference in the lives of others. Ms. Forlini has been an amazing school aide, but also a great colleague and friend. Ms. Forlini, you have made a lasting impression on the world through the lives of the students and staff that you have supported. Thank you for many years of service and happy retirement to you. We surely will miss you.
Thank you, Mamaroneck Avenue. And now let's turn our attention to Mamaroneck High School and Principal Ms. Liz Klein and Assistant Principals Mario Washington, Jenny Rodriguez, and Lena Carolini Canavo. Take it away, Mamaroneck High School.
Good evening, everyone. We have several staff members that we will be wishing well on their retirement tonight, and I will actually be getting us started, and then we'll all take turns. The first person is Katerina De Benedetto. Katerina is the heart and soul of the high school special education department and has been so for 20 years. She began at MHS as a part-time secretary in a tiny little office in Palmer. Since then, she has worked for 4 different high school chairs and as many student support services directors, always welcoming these changes and quickly acclimating. She has worked tirelessly for her department, tasked with a myriad of responsibilities, which she has accomplished with ease. Her role immersed her in the legal worlds of IEPs, and she quickly became an IEP Direct Master. There is nothing Katerina could not do. If she did not know how to initially, she learned and mastered it and was willing to teach others. Katerina is family, a constant, someone we all trust and confide in daily. She is the one who teachers go to when they have a question or need advice, when confused, stressed, anxious, or when the copy machine is misbehaving. Katerina is always there to save the day. She has served as a mentor and a mother figure to us all, but especially to our new teachers who always saw Katerina as a warm and comforting figure in our office. Not only did she handle any questions related to IEP issues in the classroom, purchase order, and anything in between, we also learned that we could rely on Katerina's caring heart and gentle ways to comfort us when we needed it the most. Katerina took the time to get to know all of MHS special education teachers as individuals. She asked about our families and would check in to see how everybody was doing. You knew upon entering the department office that Katerina would always greet everyone warmly and engage in a wonderful conversation. She always greeted people, whether those who came into the office or called on the phone, with the same bright smile and kind words. While we will sorely miss her, we are thrilled now that she will get to slow down and enjoy her retirement with her husband, 3 children, and 4 grandchildren. Congratulations, Katerina. I will also speak about our next retiree, Maria Siciliano. And Maria worked with the TASK program. It has truly been a pleasure to work so closely with Maria Siciliano for the last few years as a part of the TASK program. She has a great deal of passion and love for working with others, and especially with some of our high anxiety, fragile students. Maria is caring, gentle, understanding, a good listener, and always available to support the needs of all of our students. Her motherly instincts are always on display and can be seen when kids are having emotional crises and need someone to talk to. Additionally, Maria is a talented teaching assistant and has been an amazing support system in the classroom. Over the years, she has done a fantastic job supporting kids in biology, chemistry, a variety of math classes, and Spanish as well. Maria is also a great baker who occasionally would spoil the staff at TASK with delicious homemade Italian baked goods. And last but not least, she is a Disney World aficionado, always willing to help plan or give advice to any of us who are planning a trip. Maria has been a valuable member of the MHS community. She is an organization guru who is always willing to help support any work that needs to be done. She has organized task classrooms, the kids, and all of us, both our regular classes as well as with AP exams. Not sure what we're going to do when she leaves, but she should expect a call from all of us when we need to do scheduling next year. Maria is an advisor of the Mamaroneck chapter of FBLA, which has flourished under her watch. Her supreme dedication to and involvement in the club and its students help them grow and succeed in their endeavors. Under Maria, the club has won multiple state championships, and her students have gone on to both state and national officers in the organization. Congratulations, Maria.
Okay, I'm next. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lena Carolini Canavo, one of the assistant principals, and I will be speaking about first, Mercedes Samayoa Rodriguez. Mercedes Samayoa Rodriguez has been one of our beloved TAs at MHS for the past 24 years and has played an integral role in our school. Everyone knows Mercedes for her warm smile, her friendly and kind demeanor, her caring approach to working with our Transition Academy students, and her knowledge around being a job coach with our vocational students. Whenever needed, Mercedes never held back from stepping in to help a student, a colleague, or a visitor. One of the most special and significant qualities that Mercedes possesses is her ability to build strong and positive relationships with students. Ms. Rodriguez, as our students in Transition Academy kindly call her, is known for always putting the students first. Ms. Rodriguez is typically one of the first people to welcome our students to school in the morning and one of the last people to say goodbye at the end of the day. And it's always with that warm smile. We can always hear her friendly voice in the walkie-talkies giving us updates at the buses. And it won't be the same come September when we won't hear or see her every day. Mercedes has worked many years with our students at MHS with significant functional, emotional, and vocational needs. And she has always been a patient and kind advocate for them as she worked hard to help them build their independence in the school and out in the community. Her ability to reach all of our students and their families in Transition Academy, both in English and in Spanish, is truly remarkable and should serve as an example to all. Mercedes is an exemplary member of our Transition Academy team and of Mamaroneck High School as a whole. Although we will miss her dearly, and at the moment we cannot imagine our team without her, we wish her all the best and a wonderful retirement, enjoying her time with her family. And now I will also talk about another retiree, Yolita Goditis. Yolita Goditis is one of Mamaroneck High School's admired school psychologists. She has worked in the district for 16 years, first at the middle school and then at the high school. Most agree that Yolita is one of the most thorough and hardworking people that one could meet. Let's put it this way. When we need to know the ins and outs and the background of a specific student or case, Yolita would be able to either tell you everything in detail, including data and test results, or she will find it out immediately and identify necessary steps, resources, or possible solutions. Yolita has the well-being and interests of every student at heart, which is evident in all the ways she approaches her work. Yolita has the gift of being able to connect and weave together many different threads to be able to complete a full story, which in the end allows us to best help our students and families. You will often find Yolita in her office at all times of day, night, weekdays, weekends, so you could imagine how much she works, just to make sure her reports are all accurate, up to date, and in depth. One can rest assured that 9.999 times out of 10, the information presented by Ms. Goditis is backed by evidence and a wealth of knowledge. We also love Yolita's smile, sense of humor, and her talent to perfectly use expressions to a T in many different languages. Yolita works with students in different capacities throughout the school, and one important role in particular has been in our Transition Academy, where she works with our high school students with significant functional, emotional, and developmental needs, and with their families. With Transition Academy, Yolita is often found talking to students one-on-one, facilitating group sessions, participating in team meetings, chairing CSEs, writing reports, testing students, consulting with outside providers, responding to families, running to an emergency in the first floor of Palmer with a walkie-talkie in her hand, or willing to set up the next roundtable meeting and figuring out who's bringing the snacks. Yolita Gudaitis will definitely be very missed for many reasons, and it will not be the same without her here at the school and here in the community. But we wish her all the best on her next adventures out on Long Island. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mario Washington. I'll be speaking on behalf of Craig Romanek. Craig has been with the high school for over 40 years. Craig is a committed, hardworking, and caring, and highly effective educator who I've had the privilege of working with for the past 15 years. In that time, I've developed a deep appreciation for Craig's intelligence, work ethic, and personal character. Craig is passionate about teaching, and countless students have shared their love for his hands-on teaching style. He is committed to high standards of scholarship for students of all abilities and backgrounds. For several years, Craig was the curriculum specialist for our technology teachers. In this role, Craig demonstrated his capacity as a teacher leader who inspired his colleagues to think differently about their practice. In addition to mentoring others, Craig is committed to self-improvement by learning new teaching strategies and content. Craig's passion for architecture is matched by his passion for helping young people learn and discover the beauty of this utility. Empowering students to be creative thinkers is a signature element of Craig's practice. Craig has also been an important go-to person for the music department for many years. His friendship with the MHS music department came about through chaperoning band trips all over the country. Craig is definitely the #1 pick when it comes to that. He understands the logistics of taking large performance groups on the road and is always a tremendous support. Craig enjoys the musical performances just as much as the friendships he has made within the music department. This was evident in how Craig is always willing to take on a task in support of the music department. Recently, when the department hosted a Long Island school orchestra for an exchange concert, it was Craig who was instrumental in coordinating pizza delivery for lunch for 150 students. Additionally, he located scuba gear for Mamma Mia, furniture debris for the Les Mis performance barricade, and most recently, Craig helped build the set pieces for Singing in the Rain. Craig is a wealth of knowledge about MHS, its history, and is a staple in the broader Mamaroneck community. Although we're going to miss his presence at MHS, we're confident we will see him about town. Congratulations, Craig, on your retirement.
I think I'm bringing it home. If I could make a nice little sports comment, I would, but we know that's not my forte. Here we go. Tonight, we are celebrating our retirees and those who've served for 25 years in the Mamaroneck School District. Shannon Turner Porter has served for 25 years and then another 25 years. And what a gift she has been to our community. Where to start with this amazing woman? Should I talk about her student-centered classroom or project-based learning practices long before they were in vogue? Or should I list the students whose lives were changed because Mrs. Porter believed in their capabilities and went out of her way to know those students and their families? Maybe we can talk about the countless trips that she organized for students so that they could travel the world and learn history by seeing the great cathedrals of Europe and the monasteries in Japan. Perhaps you're unaware that Shannon has single-handedly organized the Martin Luther King Assembly every year for over 30 years and given students the opportunity to find their voices and use their voices. I can assure you that Shannon embraced every new piece of technology and learning that has come her way over the past 50 years and done so with an intentionality that is truly inspirational. In the last 3 months of her 50th year, she's had to learn how to teach online and respond to students virtually. And you could almost forgive someone in this situation for saying, I've just had it. But not Shannon Turner Porter. She has continued to make phone calls home, reach out to students who are not responding. And like every other year in her career, she's gone that extra mile to ensure that every one of her seniors would make it to graduation. I wonder how many people know about the limousine that she hired to take a group of seniors to the prom quite some years ago. Realizing that this group of students could not afford the limousine that so many others were paying for, she took matters into her own hands. I will say that my principal colleagues and I agreed on a length for our retirement comments. I'm in violation right now, but what can I say? 50 years deserves an exception. I will end with this. 17 years ago. Do you hear an echo? 17 years ago, when we held our first Facing History and Ourselves workshop at Mamaroneck High School, Shannon participated in that founding group. And 2 weeks ago, she presided over the last Facing History workshop of the year, where her colleagues held up signs to capture the essence of Shannon. The words on the screen included upstander, icon, inspiration, integrity, irreplaceable, dedicated, giving, expert, compassionate, legacy, and courageous. Shannon, you are all that and a whole lot more. We are going to miss you and we love you dearly.
Thank you, Ms. Klain. What a lovely tribute. Well deserved. Well deserved. And for our last school this evening, to recognize two outstanding teachers that I had the pleasure of working with earlier in my career, Dr. Colleen Melnick and Mr. Matt Porcelli.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, Colleen and I have the honor and privilege to speak about two extremely dedicated teachers, Tina Dolan and Kathleen Dwyer, who between them have over 60 years of teaching experience. We're going to speak first about Tina, and then we will speak about Kathleen. Great teachers work tirelessly to create a challenging, nurturing environment for their students. And it has always been Tina Dolan's goal to create such an environment for her students. Tina began her teaching career over 30 years in District 2 in New York City. She has experience teaching every grade from kindergarten through 5th grade. She positions herself as a learner in new situations and approaches her teaching work through a child-centered lens. The value that Tina has added to Murray Avenue School has been her ability to look at situations from different perspectives. She always roots for the underdog and is rarely satisfied with the status quo.
It will be difficult to cite all that Tina has accomplished in her time in the Mamaroneck School District, so we'll focus on one specific and special dimension. Tina is passionate about gardening and the environment. And in fact, at the time that Murray Avenue School was beginning to make a grand commitment to what would become the Murray Garden and the Murray Meadow, Tina was the first teacher to commit to being a large part of those projects. In fact, her class worked diligently to publish a very beautiful and charming brochure about the garden work. And that final product received high praise from the community. Our gardens have flourished under her continued care. On a lighter note, Tina has always cultivated her own sense of style. She could never be accused of being cookie cutter by any stretch of the imagination. And I dare say that we all agree that her style could be described as unique, fun, and winsome, much like her approach to teaching. Finally, many of you know that Tina's husbands and sons are talented musicians, and her experience with music has always brought a different perspective to our Murray community, whether through grade level meetings or faculty meetings at large. We've appreciated that special dimension, and we will miss it moving forward. Tina, You have had a very rich and wonderful career. We will miss you, and we hope that you spend time reflecting upon all of the students whose lives you have enriched. We wish you all of the best, and we hope you get to spend many hours of enjoyment in your garden with your talented family. Congratulations, Tina. Now, we'll speak about Kathleen Dwyer. Kathleen Dwyer has been an integral part of the physical education department here in Mamaroneck for 24 years. She enjoyed a number of different careers before joining the Mamaroneck School District in 1996, and she brought a very broad set of skills to her position as the physical education teacher. Kathleen is passionate about fitness, physical education, and teaching children to do things completely, thoroughly, and with love. She's so good at encouraging, initiating, and cultivating children to engage in teamwork. Kathleen has had a very diverse career in our school district, teaching at both the middle school and elementary level schools, as well as coaching field hockey.
Great teachers set high expectations for all their students. Kathleen realizes that the expectations she has for her students greatly affect their achievement. She knows that students generally give to teachers as much or as little as is expected of them. It will be impossible to cite all that Kathleen has accomplished in her time in Mamaroneck, but some of the highlights of her time here have been her work to build and improve the dance program, writing many MSF grants district-wide, ranging from staff trainings to hip hop for grades K through 8. She was the chairperson of the MTA and volunteers for the Kids Triathlon. She was the chairperson of the district-wide wellness committee. She acted as a curriculum specialist for elementary PE, and she was running Tiger Paw after school sports clubs. Above all, Kathleen is committed to coordinating a K-12 multidisciplinary approach to teaching. Congratulations on a wonderful career, Kathleen. We hope you take time for self-care, including practicing yoga, which we know you love to teach. And best wishes to you on your next phase. We know we're going to see you soon, though, because there's still many kickball games and field days ahead of us at Murray that still have your name on it, and we'd love to welcome you back for those. Congratulations, Kathleen.
Thank you, Murray Avenue team. And it's just inspiring to hear about all these tremendous educators and all of the years and all of the contributions over these many years to our school system. Our deepest appreciation to our retirees. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Dr. Shaps. Do you have any final words?
Just thank you all of our administrators for capturing the essence and the impact of our educators who are retiring and have given, as you mentioned, countless years of service to our families and our system. As I said, this is a celebration of accomplishments, of joy and joyful moments, and we wish all the best moving forward and in health and opportunity to relax and enjoy the years ahead. So with that, I thank you. And certainly, Jeremy, thank you for organizing this and really what I would say meaningful tribute to those who are retiring officially tomorrow in our system. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Jeremy. And I echo Bob's sentiments. Thank you to all the building leaders for your amazing comments and your thoughtful words. I know those mean a lot to all those individuals. So congratulations again to all the retirees and 25 years of service. So thank you. Thank you all. So next I am going to move on to future business. So we do actually have an additional board meeting next week. So Tuesday, June 23rd, there will be at 6:30, there will be a business meeting. And then Tuesday, July 7th, there'll be our reorganization meeting. And that'll be held. It looks like it will actually be held at the high school in the tiered classroom. So we are hoping for the best, but hoping that will happen. So once again, thank you to all the administrators. Thank you for everyone for being on. Really, it was an awesome time to hear everyone talk about all the amazing contributors to the Mamaroneck School District. So thank you. And with that, I will have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Sam.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, LMC TV. Thank you, everyone, again. Have a good evening, everyone.